Welcome back, everybody. This video is going to demonstrate how to change a gas cylinder. Several of our instruments use compressed gases, so when the tank is empty, here's how we change it. The first thing we want to do is turn off the tank at the cylinder, but we want to leave the house line open. So now what we're going to do is bleed the lines. This is most easily done at the bench top. So here's our argon tap. Give it about a quarter turn, and we just have to wait for the hissing to stop. As the hissing slows down, you can open the tap more and more until it completely stops. Then we'll close this tap, and now we're ready to remove the regulator. So now we're ready to take our regulator off. So since we've bled the line, we now want to close the house line and grab our wrench and go ahead and remove the regulator. This is tight quarters, so you just want to be careful that you don't bang your fingers with the wrench. About a quarter turn should be all you need to actually loosen the regulator with your hands. If you really struggle to get the regulator off, that means that it wasn't put on finger tight, it was put on wrench tight. The main difference is if you over tighten the regulator, you can actually do damage to the regulator and cause it to break. So it's really important that you screw it in the whole way by hand and then just give it a quarter turn to tighten it up with the wrench. So now we're ready to move our cylinder, but before we do that, we have to put the top back on. You never want to move an open cylinder without the top. Sometimes the tag gets in the way, so we'll just unwind the tag. This will go back on the cylinder, and we'll put the top on. We'll unhook the chain, and we'll need to just carefully turn this to get it out of the chamber. We never want to move a gas cylinder very far, even though where we're going to store it is right next to me. We still want to put it on the hand cart, made specifically for gas cylinders, to move it over. Undo the chain. And position it right in the wall. You always want to make sure that you strap it in so that the cylinder doesn't move. And then we want to grab our empty tag, remove the in-service portion so we know it's empty, and reattach it up top. And now we're ready to move our cylinder, our full cylinder, back into place. So lucky for me, it's right next door. So we'll unstrap this, put it on our cart. Set the chain so it doesn't move. This takes a little finagling. Grab our chain around back. And strap it in. We'll remove our tag when we take off the top. We'll get this out of the way so we don't bump into it. So you can always tell it's a new tank because you have this blue wrapper on it. So we want to remove the blue wrapper. So you can see the tank is facing the wrong direction. And we need to be able to turn it to put our regulator back on. So in order to do that, we need to put the top back on before we undo the chain. The general rule of thumb is if you take off the chain, the top has to be on, and you always want to put the top on first. So we'll just give it a little bit of a turn. Back it up against the wall a little bit more. Put our chain back on. And we're back in business. The easiest way to put a regulator on is to make sure that it goes in completely straight. If it's down or up, back or forwards, you won't be able to thread the regulator in completely by hand. So that's how you know if you're off and not directly centered. The other thing is you're more likely to get leaks if it's not directly centered. So now that's hand tight for me, but if I were to turn the tank on, you would probably hear a little bit of leaking. So we're just going to take our wrench, give it a quarter turn until we feel some resistance, just like that. And then we're going to go ahead and just slightly open our tank. Make sure that air line's off. Slightly open the tank. And now we can actually hear some hissing. So that means that we have a little bit of a leak. So we're going to turn off our tank. Just going to let the regulator bleed itself out. And go ahead and give it another quarter turn with the wrench. Now we'll try it again. Still have some leaking. So that to me says I didn't get the regulator in completely straight the first time. So I'm just going to open the house line. And I'm going to bleed the line out front again. close our valve. Loosen our regulator. Check to make sure nothing's obstructing anything. And go ahead and put it back in. So that's finger tight for me. We'll give it a little turn with the wrench. There we go. Check to make sure we don't hear any hissing. And it has finally stopped, so that means we've gotten it tight enough. Now we can go ahead and open our house line. I would recommend doing this slowly. Sometimes you'll get a really loud, high-pitched noise. Not exactly pleasant, makes people think something bad is happening, but that's okay. So we'll open our house line slowly, very slowly, for those right at the tank. High-pitched noise, that's okay. Very loud and obnoxious, but that's all right. All right, the final step that we need to do is to put our tag back on. So just kind of loosely tie it on, and since this tank is in service, we'll remove the full sticker, and that's it. So that's how we change a tank. If you ever need help, please ask your lab assistants or an instructor. Good luck and have fun.